People may think that retro gadgets are irrelevant and useless nowadays because of smartphones. In a way, they are right because smartphones are basically very powerful computers that fits in your pocket. But there are retro gadgets that just did things better. The HP 95 100 to 100LX and 1000CX is a pocket PC from the early 90s. It ran MS-DOS as the operating system and was able to run Windows 3.0. The cheaper 95LX was an 8008 clone, while the others was able to run programs written for 8086. 8088 and 80186. These are actual MS-DOS PCs. It can do networking, and you are able to add more storage, thanks to the built-in PC MCI card slot. SD card to compact flash adapters to work, and is recommended. What this gadget has that most modern smartphones don't is a built-in physical keyboard, multi-purpose card slot, and the best part about it, it runs off of batteries. 2 batteries in these gives them a battery life up to 2 months, so you're lucky to get a full day of battery with smartphones. The Subico is the one thing that I wished caught on. It was geared toward teens in the early 2000s, as you can see in its design. It has the transparent color case that Apple and Nintendo made popular. This basically gave teens who had won a taste of what the smartphone was going to become. But it has a feature I mentioned that I wanted to catch on, which is mesh networking. Not like the mesh routers or anything that you may have in your home. I mean, it communicates with other Subico devices without the use of an internet connection. The range was limited to 330 feet because of the limitations we had in the early 2000s. It used RF, which was the best option at the time. So what can you do when 2 or more of these shared communication? You could send others emails, chat, and play games. If you had an internet connection at home, you was able to download hundreds of free games from Subico's website and transfer them onto the gadget. If you was out in the public, at let's say the mall, you could find other people with a Subico, as long as they was in range, and add them to your friends list. The closest thing we have on smartphones is Bluetooth, but it's only being used for file sharing and wireless audio. People don't seem to use it for offline communications. Most modern generations tend to stream digital music using a service like Spotify or YouTube. Unless you're paying a small fortune for services that provides lossless audio streams like Tidal or Apple Music, chances are you're missing out on great audio quality. CDs have been out since the 80s and still provides better audio quality than most streaming services, even if the album was affected by the loudness war. Very briefly, sometime in the early 90s, recording studios started to focus less on audio quality and just cranked up the volume, making songs louder, which sounds terrible in comparison. CD players, especially portable ones like the Sony Discman and Walkman, were very popular, and with the right headphones, sounds better than music on Spotify, for example. Back in the day, retail and music stores, including Walmart, had headphones set up so you could preview the albums, so you can make a decision on purchasing it or not. That was a great way to meet new people with similar interests in music. You cannot recreate that on the internet, even on social media. It's different when you're there in person. There is another upside to the dying format. You can now buy them for next to nothing. Expect to find CDs at flea markets and yard sales for as low as 50 cents. If you don't want to listen to them on a CD player, you can always rip them to your computer. Yes, people would rather take pictures on their phones rather than to use a film camera now, but film cameras do have an advantage. Using the right camera, they can look even better than photos taken on the phone. Wow, because they had decades to evolve. I recently scanned all of our family photos for backup. What I noticed is that the later 35-bit ones looked almost lifelike, with no blur, distortion, or grain. Colors popped out, and it just looked natural. Speaking of scanning, when you set your scanner to high resolution, 600 dpi or higher, you get a very large digital conversion. A 4:6 photo at 600 dpi comes out to a resolution of 2400 by 3600. You obviously won't get great looking photos from a 50-year-old camera, but they do have a different look to them for sure. Many people uses filters on Instagram now to mimic those looks. To actually get the photos, you would need to take them to a store that does photo developing, like Walmart. They do look a lot better than printing them out at home. Instant cameras still exist, but the films are a lot smaller than the older Polaroid camera ones. If you don't mind small photos, it's a great start for the hobby.